Hello boys and brads, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Aunty Chardonnay, aka Sarah Grant, and I've decided to restructure things a little bit differently to make it a little bit easier so I can just reference back to some other videos when I'm doing my videos. So this is the Flawless foundation routine, basically just how to cover up your face. I have some massive zits right here. I woke up with a really nasty one. Oh yeah, here today, which I took care of in a way that I shouldn't, but sometimes you just can't help yourself. Anyways, I'm gonna go through some of the basics of contouring and highlighting, and also, you know, just using concealer and foundation, what works for me, what products I've tried, which ones I like the best. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you guys so much, and cheers. Okay, so to start off, I'm already moisturized. I've been going on this total manic getting facials. I signed up for Massage Envy, which has, I can get like $50 facials because I don't want to get Botox and I really don't want to do any plastic surgery, but I can tell I'm getting older and it's time to start taking care of my skin. So my facialist has told me I need to wash twice a day, which really seems like a lot. Like after you wash and moisturize and do your whole routine at night, and then you go to bed and maybe you sleep 6-7 hours, maybe more, I don't know, but then when you wake up, I can still sometimes feel the moisturized cream on my face, and then she says you have to wash again, then I take a shower in the middle of the day after I exercise. Just seems like a lot of face washing, but I'm giving it a try because I can see that, especially like under my eyes, and she did this thing where they like show you what's wrong with your face basically. I'm sure most of you have done this, but it's like blue light or something, and there's like pores, and this is dry and this skin is thin, and I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. So I'm trying to take care of it. Anyways, my face is super moisturized. I even took the liberty of putting on some extra primer, which is this thing from MAC. I don't know, I've not really given it too much of a try yet, because my absolute fave is this guy, the Prep and Prime SPF 50 Face Protect Visage. I like SPF, I'm just into it, and also I think this stuff smells amazing, so I like to use it. Put a little bit on my hand. I don't think you can go wrong with too much moisture. I watched this video again the other day where this girl was saying if you have too many different SPFs, they cancel each other out, and I just think that's bullshit. I will put on as much moisture as I can on my face, and I will put on as much SPF as I can deal with without it smelling bad or looking too shiny, so whatever. My forehead was one of the areas that's like dry, and I realize I do kind of ignore it because I don't have any problems there, and I don't know, so I don't really worry about it, but if it's dry, now I'm starting to put more on it. I'm using just a regular foundation brush. It's natural fiber, which I prefer for this kind of thing, but as I've mentioned lots of times in my video, it was my first ever kind of nice makeup gift before many years. We're talking probably 10 years ago, maybe, before I knew anything about makeup, and I was on a film set, and this makeup artist did my makeup, and she gave it to me. It's broken since then. I've super glued it. Point being, it's not super important what you use, but just that it's soft and nice and easy. And also, point being, if you help someone else out with their makeup, 10 years later they might be making makeup videos. Who knows? Okay, so being that this is about how I do a flawless face, it's hard because I use a lot of different types of foundation depending on the look I'm going for. And I can just show you a few. This is a Tinted Moisturizer, and there's a million different kinds. I have one, I have Glow Minerals. It's not about the brand for the most part. Do what works best for you. But Tinted Moisturizer, obviously great for days when you're trying to moisturize, but you're not worried about having like extensive coverage. You just want a little bit of something. This has always been one of my absolute faves by MAC, the Face and Body Foundation, because you can make it as dramatic or as light as you want, basically by layering. It's really easy to layer this. Now, on the flip side, something that I've really realized recently, because everyone raves about this and everyone effing loves this product, so what I've noticed recently is that it makes me really dewy looking and really moist looking on my face, which for some people I guess works great. I'm not as familiar with what looks good on photo, but for video specifically, a dewy look makes you look sweaty and gross and highlights a lot of things. So I don't know. This was my go-to for a long time. I'm debating about it right now. Makeup Forever HD. It's nice. It's really smooth. It's really great. I'm basically turning this into a product review. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to show you guys. There's a lot of products, and ultimately what I've ended up going with that I like the most, and so that's what I'll just say, is this L'Oreal True Match super blendable makeup. I was trying a bunch of different drugstore brands. I guess I should put it closer, but I was trying a bunch of different drugstore brands because I wanted to give you guys the best possible of everything. And I was shocked to find that this is pretty much my favorite go-to foundation. Like, I had an engagement photo shoot yesterday, and this is I could have used anything, and I chose this. I think it lasts a long time. I think it's soft. I think it has great coverage. I think they have a ton of different colors you can choose from. That might be part of it. I still have a hard time sometimes choosing the right color because I have bizarre multicolored skin, and I think this warm nude beige color is amazing. So I'll probably use that for this video. That being said, I think I've said way too much. Too many things. But hopefully if you're watching this video, it's because you actually do really care about trying to understand how to get flawless skin, and we're gonna go with it. Now, I've also tried a million different brushes for applying foundation. This is one of the ones I started with. It's a like dual fiber brush from MAC. It's the 187, and I do like this, but it's not my favorite. It was my absolute favorite when I just got it and I didn't know anything else. I ended up ultimately getting a smaller one of these brushes because I thought that might fix some of the issues that I had with the bigger one. Still not my favorites. It really was when I got it though, so there are definitely still reasons to use this, and I bought them for most of the people that I love because they are still good brushes. But then, you know, I've tried the regular foundation brush. I've tried I love the Beauty Blender. I think everyone loves the Beauty Blender, and there's different reasons for it. I definitely, when I'm trying to do like a more vintage look, will use this everywhere. But you'll see later, I can use this Beauty Blender in lots of ways. So this is a go-to for sometimes, but I'm going to say my absolute favorite application brush for foundation at this point is a Real Techniques brush. This is a buffing brush. And basically it comes in a kit with this one, which is another brush that I love. It's like supposed to be, I think, essentially for doing contouring and highlighting. And I do use it for that, but I use it for a lot of other things. It also comes with this third brush, which is a pointed foundation brush. I often use this to like dab on, you'll see later, certain things. And then this is obviously like a very more specific kind of like a detail brush, which I use a lot for concealer. Anyways, these four came in a kit of like $20 off of Amazon. So for example, I think this brush was somewhere around $35. This whole kit was $20. And so what I've come to realize is, yes, brushes are super important, and that is one of the very most basic important foundation tips. But at the same time, spending a ton of money doesn't necessarily give you the best brush function. So just word to the wise, I would recommend this kit for sure, and I think this is the best way to apply foundation. So again, I'm going to take my cheaper foundation, which I think works the best, dump a little bit on my hand. I think I get a little bit heavy-handed sometimes with this because of the way it, like, you pour it out. It's not a squeeze out or a pump out or whatever. Sometimes I think I get a little heavy-handed. And the way that I prefer to apply is, since I've already used this nice foundation brush for applying my primer, I'm going to use it to just dab kind of blobs of the foundation where I need it and want it the most. I think that this saves product. This might be just totally in my mind, but I find that when I use the actual buffer to put the product on, the buffer soaks up a lot of the product, and I end up using too much. And then also, I like to, you know, everyone says you need to go on your neck, right? So that everything looks more natural. So I like to just do that right from the get. Take this foundation brush and paint down my neck a little bit right from the beginning. So I start with that foundation, but I don't have to worry too much about my neck now. It's like, okay, good. It's off my hand. It's off this brush. It's going into the buffing. So, buffing brush. You just do some kind of nice circular motions. The other thing that I debate about a lot is how far around the eyes to go. And I think a lot of people just do this because they know they're going in with concealer. Sometimes I like to just brush it all over because I think it's easier to get it than in, you know, these areas and some areas that you might miss. I have kind of a problem eye area anyways. It's one of the reasons I really have started wearing a lot more makeup when I'm out is because I have very thin skin right here and it's getting really blue, among other reasons. It is bizarre to get older, you know, because I guess I just thought, oh, once you're like done being 16 and you get over these acne, hormone, skin problems, it's over. Little do you realize your whole entire life is full of hormones and different ones. So at 30 now, I am having a lot of different hormone problems that I never had before. I never had experienced zits like here on my chin. And so that's starting to happen, interestingly. And also I'm getting like discolorations, as everyone talks about, like around the nose, especially. And my skin is getting lighter and lighter under my eyes. So I'm never worried about doing a little extra everywhere. And it just feels good to buff out your face. So I don't know. Sometimes I go a little bananas, but I really like it. Okay. Then there are several key things to do, and it kind of depends on your needs at the moment. I'm going to show you a few different concealers and ways to conceal. These are just the general gist, for example. So here is a Corrector Palette from MAC. This is just so I could be able to work with different people's skin tones and different parts of my own skin tone. This is like a Glow Minerals. This has been through a lot, obviously. This is like my third or fourth one of these. I really like it, but just a basic light concealer. And then this is the Pro Longwear Concealer from MAC. I would say this is the most, you can get a lot of different things done with this, where I wouldn't recommend putting something like this in a soft area, like under your eyes. That being said, you can totally put it a lot of other places where I think it stays and works better than this. But if you're just trying to build out your kit and you're looking for something all over, I think this is your guy. I don't know if anyone cares what the color is. I think the colors get so mixed up depending on where you're shooting, but it's NC20. So I'm going to squirt a little bit of this on my hand. The other unfortunate thing with this is it's really hard to control how much you get out. And not only that, but it's made of glass. So I've dropped it several times in the bathroom before. Oh, I need a break. All right, so what I like to do, I try a lot of different things a lot of the time, but one of the ways that I definitely think works best is to take this little, actually, I don't want to do the little brush. I'm going to take this brush. Let's just assume that you guys bought this kit that was $20 from Real Techniques. I'm going to take the brush in it that's made for a small foundation brush, and I like to dab this around the dark and kind of, I don't want to say sketchy, that sounds stupid, but it's true. Like, it's like we're in Detroit Rock City. This is the sketchy neighborhood in my face. And it's important when you're trying to like lighten and highlight something around your eyes to not forget your nose, or else it just seems like, whoa, where'd that like weird socket come out of? So I pat it on with this brush, and then there are some other brushes that I may usually use for this, but let's just assume that you have this kit, and that's a good way to do it. Now you can take this buffing brush, which is tapered, and make it kind of all blendy in. I'll be honest with you, this is one of the things that's really important under your eyes that I mess up a lot because I get lazy and impatient, is patting is what you need to be doing. Swiping around under your eyes is just going to highlight your wrinkles more. So, got that all patted in. Great. Do the same thing on the other side. Sorry, I keep looking away. By the way, I've already shot this video like 50 times, but I've been trying all these new cameras and sound equipments, and things just keep being messed up. So please, dear sweet Lord, have this one work. I'm trying to use a different software than I was using before to hopefully make it stop getting all jumbled, but it hasn't been an easy road, but I'm just trying to get the best quality. I didn't want you guys to be watching what I'm doing and not be able to see in crystal clear, like real life, you know, 1080p. All right, so the cool thing about this concealer is it's really light. So we can put it, like I get red on my nose, and we can use it sort of as a highlight also, but I definitely like to get the end of my nose. I have that alcoholic red nose, plus I get zits there. This is one of the areas that most women hormonally get red anyways. So you could buff it in with some of our other brushes, but for right now I think it's fine on the sides to do like this. And then probably with the main part of the nose, it's easier to just do this. I also oftentimes like to buff in with my foundation buffing brush, because I think it kind of mixes things together and makes it look a little bit more natural, which is the key. And then normally I would just continue on with this concealer all around my mouth, but actually since I didn't put that much on and I want to show you guys what to do with this type of a thing, this kind of concealer, I'll use a little. So different colors conceal different things. This is like there's a pink and a yellow. There's also a green. I can do a whole other video on what those do, and I will eventually link to it. But using the top four, which are just varying different degrees of color, the foundation I used is pretty yellow for my skin, which I recommend for most people who have like fair skin tones. I think yellow tends to look great. I'm going to use a yellow concealer, dip my brush in it. So this is a former zit, which has been just lingering forever. I like to dab it on like that. And then I've been getting a ton of zits around my mouth lately, which I freaking hate. But this is one of the ways to conceal these imperfections. Fortunately, we are either broads or boys who are able to just do this. Now, I always thought my mouth was just weird because I tend to get like discoloration around the edges, but apparently this is also hormonal, and it did start happening like at a... It's just so funny, like you go through these periods and no one really tells you about them. It's like, oh, puberty, and then after puberty, puberty and menopause, and no one really tells you that there's all this stuff that happens in between that's going to change your face. And I start thinking like, oh, it has to do with what I'm eating, or oh, I'm like getting acne, or I don't know. I just start freaking out about different things. And it turns out it's like, dude, your face is changing your whole life. Your skin is changing your whole life. And the same as like your relationship is changing and evolving, or you're changing and evolving. So is your skin, so is your body. And you just have to try to kind of keep up. Okay, so since we're doing a flawless skincare routine, I will also do one of my absolute favorite things, which is highlighter. This is the MAC Prep and Prime highlighter, and I've tried a bunch of drugstore versions, and ironically enough, I bought this one before all of those ones. They've all ran out since, and I use this one more frequently. So this is Prep and Prime Highlighter Light Boost. I totally recommend it to everyone. I bought it like for my mama and my best friend and stuff. I love it around my eye. This is the Kim Kardashian, you know, famous kind of inspired highlight, like really dramatic highlight look. You can make it as small or as big as you like. I have pretty dramatic cheekbones already and really not my favorite type of under eyes, so I just go bananas and just highlight the F out of everything. Don't forget to get my nose, and I just dab it all on there with the brush that comes on here, and pretty much all the highlighter pens are going to come with a similar type of brush. There's one I haven't tried yet that I always see in the duty-free on the airplane, and I always want to buy it because I usually take a Xanax when I'm traveling, and duty-free just seems really fun. But all the stuff I've got from duty-free so far I've been disappointed with, so trying not to. So these are some other areas to highlight. Just kind of follow my lead. Your Cupid's bow, your chin. These are areas that just normally kind of stand out anyways. Then we will buff them in. Now, some areas I'm just going to buff in with the foundation brush because I think it goes kind of natural, and it adds in just that little taste of what color your skin already is because of the brush, what we did earlier. But under my eyes, I like to use a tapered brush, which is what we were using before. This is actually one of my favorite under eye brushes, and I would recommend this to everyone. It's the Sigma tapered blending brush, or tapered highlighter rather, I'm sorry. It's F35. It's amazing the way it's shaped. It like fits perfectly under the eye. But since I'm trying to kind of keep this like reasonable and cheap, basically I'm trying to use all the brushes from the kit that I recommend. That's $20, then you can get a lot done. So I'm just not swiping, even though I want to, and even though I know that's easy. And actually, sometimes I just close my eye. It's no big deal because we're already like doing primer and stuff on our eyes. So we're basically doing like, by accidentally closing and getting a little extra up there, we're just basically pre-priming our eyes. But for someone who has really blue under eyes, this is nice and necessary. But actually, since we highlighted with the concealer already, this is an unnecessary step. However, if you're gonna do photos or videos or something, like, it's a nice step to take. You can also, if your skin looks great, skip the concealer and just do like a nice highlight. Now, I'm basically doing this to prep for photo, video, looking your best, etc. All right, so there's lots of different ways to bronze, highlight and contour rather, I should say. So you can do it in a way like this, which is a cream, and if you do want to do that, you should do it before you powder. I'm just going to do a powder bronze highlight contour thing today, so I'm going to powder my whole face right now. There's also tons of different types of powder. This is like a really cheap NYC Translucent. This is a more expensive translucent from MAC, which I like, but the container seems to always be dipping. Like, no matter how hard I try to spin it correctly, I'm always like getting it everywhere. I've used this Blot Powder from MAC forever, just like a loose sheer powder. I think that I messed up this time because this is really, really dark for me. I might try it just to see, but I can tell that I think I must have had it in my cart for someone else or something. I don't know what I did. And there's also, like, you know, pressed powders are good for some things. I tend to usually use like a light sheer version of a translucent powder or like a blot powder that's a light color. This is a really cool way to put on powder. It's a beauty blender basically with like this really soft back that I got from MAC. When I'm trying to do a super vintage, like no flaws at all, really white porcelain face, I put on the powder with this so that I can really control how it goes on and get it on a little more thick, and I really like that. But there's also a lot of different types of brushes, and what I'm going to say is, in fact, I'm going to try and use this dark powder. It really doesn't matter. Just ignore the fact that I'm using this powder that's too dark for me, and we'll see what happens. I might mix in. I'll do a little of this and maybe mix in a little of the dumpy translucent powder also, and we'll just see what happens. Oh yeah, that's a lot. Whoops. Might have to make a whole separate sector for this. So it was funny. My boyfriend my fiance rather, bought me this thing of brushes for, I forget, recently. I don't think it was Valentine's Day. It was something though. And most of the really like key brushes for your eyes I found were too shitty quality. But funny enough, the face brushes, I can use all of them and love them. So I don't know if there's something wrong with me, because in the majority of all brushes I've spent a lot of money on, the most expensive ones are face brushes. So for example, like I have this one from MAC, the 182, which I still use. It was like 50 bucks. That's a lot, right, for a brush. And then there's, I mean, just, it seems like in general when I spend a lot on a brush, it's because it's a big, fluffy, like huge brush. Well, I might be crazy and I might have to redo this video at some point, but basically this is like a powder brush from a palette that I think he got from Groupon. I'm pretty sure it was like $30 for the whole thing. And I just like, it's soft, it's sheer. I would recommend for the bigger brushes trying a bunch of cheap shit and seeing what works first. All right, so I'm mixing together some translucent powder. You know, one of the translucent with the too dark for me, but one of the keys is not getting too much on. So like get it on, we'll get it off, and just like, you know, dab it around. Okay. I get lazy and forget to like dump it off, and that's when I end up with these like huge piles of junk on my face. So, oh, it just feels good. It just feels good to like dusty your face around. And then let's get the top. So I'm just kind of going over everything. This is, I should be dabbing, but I'm totally swiping because it just feels good. Put those away. There's way too much in there. I'll just have to deal with that later. But gist of the story is you don't have to use really expensive ones for this, in my opinion. All right, so this is a cheap, shitty contour brush that I bought from Amazon that I hate, that I've had to glue back on like 50 times. I don't recommend this one, but the brush that came in the kit my fiance gave me, that's like an angled contour brush, is much thicker. And sometimes you want a little something close. Should I do a separate contour and highlight? No, I feel like flawless face is one thing. I can do a separate one if people want to watch it later. And if you don't want to know how to contour and highlight to make a flawless face, then you can just stop watching now. But I wish you wouldn't, because maybe you learned something awesome. So this is a Sculpt Powder from MAC. It's kind of dark. I don't care. Put that on. I like to dab like a dot right here, which is the part of your face that's naturally divoted in, and then run it down from there, kind of in a little Nike swoosh. Same thing over here. Dot in the divot. Most people, especially if you're not wearing your hair like dramatically tight, aren't going to see very much right there anyways, but it looks way more natural in my opinion if it starts there. Also looks way better on video. And everyone knows I like a dark divot in my temples. And then I take it on the circle down and on the circle onto the side. Dark divot on the temple. So you basically have 2 dark divots of contouring, and the rest we're going to fill in with a little bronze. I think this is the way to make it look the most natural, but still really defined and dramatic. So I used you can use anything. It doesn't really matter. I could have used the brush that I just used under my eyes to contour more tightly. And then I'm going to take that more fluffy contour brush that I mentioned from the cheap kit after I have a cocktail. So I'm just going to use I have lots of bronzing powders, but I'm going to bust out like something really cheap. Rimmel. Oh shit. My video. Okay, so I don't know how I'll fix that, but we'll see. This is Rimmel's, like, I think I bought this in the Czech Republic for nothing, but I just liked it because it's a bronzer that doesn't have any gold in it. It's super cheap. So I'm going to take this little bit of a bigger angled brush. You could use, like, a regular blusher brush, like a lot of things. And I'm going to use it to, like, go over where I contoured over here to create a little bit of a more layered, same as we do with our eyes, you know, to like layer the colors on our face. And then to go all the way around in the old facial circle that everyone knows about. Okay. Now, this is another thing to sculpt our nose. We'll use that sculpting powder. You can use a million brushes to sculpt your nose. It's really not super important. You can do it with a ton. I'll just grab like any, I don't know. I guess here's a brush. It's a crease brush that's really cheap and shitty, but it doesn't matter. I use regular eyeshadow brushes all the time. I use like soft blending brushes after I've already done my eyes. So I try to kind of take the most amount of product and create that little dip in my nose in the front. Then I take it down from the eyebrows. Ooh, that's a lot. Doesn't matter. Blend her in. Like that. Get those little dips in. And then, so this is why I was going to say, with the leftover that's on this angled brush, I like to blend down the side of my nose with that. So it's all blendy. It's not just like one color of bronze on your face. It's like multi-dimensional, different colors. Then, I like to go to blush next. I have lots of palettes. I honestly don't know what I'm doing with my eyeshadow yet, so I'll just kind of do something maybe a little bit natural. This is a palette I'm kind of messing with that I just got. I think it's basically like a beach cosmetics. It came from China. I had to order it 50 times. I'm going to go for a really kind of neutral pink, I think, just to... yeah, okay. So I guess just to keep it something that I can actually like name the product and tell you guys what it is, I'll use Stay Pretty, which is just like a really nice pink from MAC. And again, I'm going to use a brush from a cheap palette, but basically just any kind of like blusher brush is fine. And first, get the apples. There's conflicting ideas about this, but depending on how dramatic you want your blush to be, it's up to you. You can start at the back and work your way forward. I did that for like the last 10 years. Then someone said, oh my gosh, if you miss the apples, you're missing all this like really... I have a really dramatic smile. Like when I smile, it's like my eyes get super small and my cheeks get really big. So it's not bad for me to over accentuate my cheeks. But for you, if you kind of want to like take away from your cheeks, you want to start at the back and work your way forward. So the most amount of product, like how I did my bronzer, is how you want to do your blush. Most amount of product at the back, least amount at the front. So I've got now, and then sometimes I like to do a little just blush where you would naturally be like that. Also, it's not a bad idea to not forget to put some contour right here and some highlight right here. Contour and highlight right here. I can do a video about that at some point. Doesn't seem essential for this one, but it does make a difference. There's lots of ways to highlight. Here are some choices. This is a cream color base from MAC. I think it's called Pearl. This is Nars Albatross. I can't really show you fully because it's broken like 800 times and I keep fixing it. I'll do a video about how to fix it, but I do really like that one actually. There's these different products from MAC, which are, I use them I think in a different way than most people. Most people just use them as highlighters. I actually use them as like a finishing product, so I'll show you that. But what I'm going to do is take this, since we already have powder on our face, I'm going to take this powder, Nars Albatross, and normally I'm going to want to be using that really cool Sigma brush for this highlight that I told you about, E45 I think, 35. But let's just use this guy that we've already used, this contour brush. I'm just going to dip it in really gentle, and I'm going to come around the outside here, create a highlight on my cheekbones and my nose, my chin, right here. Okay, yep. And then I'm going to show you guys how I use these products from MAC, which I'm obsessed with. They're like supposed to be highlighters. This one's called Lightscapade. This one I think is called Soft and Gentle. I'm going to take Soft and Gentle. I'm going to put it on this crazy bananas brush that came from the cheap palette, but you can put it on a million brushes, like just a standard, whatever you're using to put on your powder, that's fine. So I like to just start on my cheeks, and then I like to put it everywhere. I feel like it gives this clear kind of, I don't know, cohesiveness to all that you've done. So this is my flawless face for now. I'm going to put on the rest of my makeup, and then I will come back to you guys and you can tell me how flawless it is compared. I promise it looks way better. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that little gem. I've gone ahead and added in a little extra brow and some mascara and some lips just to clean it up a little bit. It's a little bit too much sometimes when you do your full face and then you don't do anything to your eyes. You get all this foundation and stuff on the ends of your lashes, which is not cute. And also once you put a little lip on, it's like you're totally glammed out and ready to go. It's an easy way to just do something super sassy and make sure that your skin looks like you're 12 years old again. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to check out my Twitter, Aunty Chardonnay, my Instagram, Aunty Chardonnay, my website, AuntyChardonnay.com, and actually on my website you can connect to my blog where I will break down all the products I use and usually just go into a little bit more detail. You guys can get more basic gists of things in the written format. Okay, cheers. Yeah, it's blush. I like to mix it up.